Cecil, are you there?
Yeah, I am here. I'm energized. I forgot to eat today until about an hour ago. I'm good, guys. I'm refueled. Next at Sports Center after you guys.
Oh, nice.
Well, very nice.
I'll give you a little warm-up. Cecil, I hope you brought your phone charger this morning when you went into work, because I know you have been on your phone all day. So let's just get right to it. Why did he pick Denver?
He picked Denver because of John Elway, because of the Hall of Fame credentials, and because of the fact that Elway gave him a certain comfort level in going there and knowing that he would have the control of the show. He has carte blanche, guys. And we saw Mike McCoy got a lot of credit. In fact, the Miami Dolphins, when they were looking for a head coach, were pursuing Mike McCoy because of the credit he got for completely changing his scheme and philosophy to fit Tim Tebow. Well, now that also impressed Peyton Manning, because they showed that to Manning and said, hey, we were able to change. We were able to make a playoff run mid-season. Guys, that doesn't happen very often without some quality coaching in addition to the quality play on the field. So the fact that they were able to change so quickly from Orton to Tebow and be so successful, that was also an attractive option for Peyton Manning, in knowing that they would then change to his style, bring in his type of weapons, and basically, as I said, give him carte blanche to run the show the way he wants to run it.
Yeah, no, Cecil, absolutely. Elway was there all the way. He's a Hall of Famer. It helps to have, two great minds think alike on the same page there. But on paper, the 49ers look like a better team. They look like the Super Bowl team. And is the overall factor here completely Elway? And what weapons does Manning really have? Granted, yes, they can run the football. They're talking about Clark coming into town as well as Saturday. But what weapons are truly there? You have guys that drop passes. Stokely's also on the rise, trying to come too. What is the biggest piece here to help Manning and get the Broncos to the Super Bowl?
Well, there's some very important pieces in the passing game that will get a chance to prove themselves now. And both Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas, who had career years last year with Tim Tebow throwing the football, and making no excuses for them, because as a wide receiver, I feel if it hits your hands, you're supposed to catch it.
Yeah.
But in watching Tim Tebow passes from field level, when you are not exactly sure it's coming in like a knuckleball, you can use a baseball analogy,
yeah.
But when you're not exactly sure where that pass is going, a left-handed spiral, much different than a right-handed spiral. And again, no knock on Timmy, but not a lot of his passes were crisp and clean. He's kind of a heavy ball thrower is what scouts call it. A bad ball thrower is what the media called it. So, perhaps with the cleaner spiral and being able to hit those windows. If Tim Tebow saw the slightest bit of coverage, even if you had a little bit of separation, ask Eric Decker, he just wouldn't throw it to you. Demaryius Thomas can get wide open, and that makes Tim more comfortable as a thrower. Now with Peyton Manning able to hit, those sharper passes, tighter spirals, able to hit those guys in stride in those tighter windows, expect Decker and Demaryius Thomas. Bebe, if he stays healthy, has the ability. I'm not going to quite call him Calvin Johnson, okay, because Calvin Johnson is a physical freak. He's on a completely different planet than any other wide receiver in the NFL. But if Demaryius Thomas ended the season as a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League, I wouldn't be surprised. And, guys, he is the guy. Everybody's talking about Stephen Hill right now, Georgia Tech. Wow. Guess what? The guy that he followed was Demaryius Thomas. The guy that he followed was Calvin Johnson. Demaryius could be the real thing.
Cecil Lammey, NFL Insider ESPN Denver, senior writer, footballguys.com. Cecil, it's amazing how 72 days ago, Tim Tebow led the Broncos in a playoff victory over the mighty Pittsburgh Steelers. A month later, he got an endorsement from John Elway saying he's the starter going into camp. 2 weeks ago, Peyton Manning's released. A week later, Denver's the front horse, so to speak. Yeah. And today, Denver now has Peyton Manning and Tim Tebow as their quarterbacks, along with a guy named Adam Weber. But, we won't talk about him too much because he's not the story. The story is what happens now with Tebow. It seems the boards, and I know you got blasted on Twitter and the boards saying, what's Elway doing? The plan's falling apart. All the free agents are going everywhere except Denver. Well, now Denver has the prize of free agency, the best player in free agency on the offensive side of the ball, to say the least. Was this the plan the whole time, to have the Colts reunion, Jeff Saturday, Stokely, Jacob Tamme, and Dallas Clark, come in for visits?
If you look at their path in free agency, they shored up a question mark at free safety by adding Mike Adams. I see that as a quality move. You had to. Raheem Moore didn't play well. Obviously, they were waiting to see what happened with Manning because that changes plans on what you're going to do, on how you're going to structure your team. And with Peyton Manning here, obviously he's the beacon now for the rest of the free agents out there. And there's still some quality free agents out there, but he is the beacon of light, the beacon of hope. And again, the message is strong from John Elway and the Broncos front office. Yes, the playoff push last season, it was fantastic to cover. It was fantastic to witness as a Broncos fan. It was fun. It was exciting. That's not good enough. The Broncos and the Mile High City, this is a championship city. And until they return to that stature, John Elway will turn over every rock and look everywhere he possibly can to help improve the Broncos. And as one high-ranking Broncos official texted me when this whole saga began, this pursuit of Manning had more to do with the Hall of Famer than it had to do with Tim Tebow. They'll shop Tebow. I can't imagine many teams giving up much for him. Certainly no starting jobs going to be handed to Tim Tebow. In the end, it's 50-50 in my eyes if he stays or if he is traded because the market simply isn't there. He's making $1.5 million in 2012 as a backup. That's pennies in the NFL. He could stick around, learn from the Hall of Famer in Peyton Manning. Now, Manning's not going to go out of his way to teach him, but by just looking at his mannerisms and watching him and observing him, sitting in the film room with him, he can learn, essentially through osmosis kind of, that, how to be a proper pro quarterback. And as we know, Tim Tebow has his skills that you have to give him credit for in his own right, but he's not the polished pocket passer. And to win a Super Bowl, you need to win from the pocket. That's the bottom line when it comes to NFL quarterbacks.
Cecil Lammey, NFL Insider ESPN Denver, senior writer, footballguys.com. Cecil, I know you got to go. You've had a busy day. I want to give you as much break as you can before you go to Sports Center. But before we let you go, I'm going to hit you with a series of players, and I want you to tell me whether or not they signed with the Denver Broncos. For all the fans out there listening in Denver, Jameel McClain.
I hope yes. I'll answer it that way. I don't want to say no. I just don't want to say no.
Brandon Stokely.
Yes.
Dallas Clark.
Yes.
Jacob Tamme.
No.
Jeff Saturday.
Yes.
Mike Wallace.
Maybe. Maybe. I think that's a power move. It depends on what they really want to do with that 25th pick. So I have to say maybe. Again, I hope the answer is yes, because Wallace would be the exact addition this team needs.
Tim Tebow.
No.
All right, and then the final question. The Denver Broncos won 8 games after starting 1-4 with Tim Tebow winning the final playoff game the wild card playoff game against Pittsburgh, only to lose to the Patriots in the divisional round. Do the Broncos, with the second toughest schedule in the NFL next year, win more or less than 8 games?
The Denver Broncos with a healthy Peyton Manning. Let me throw that caveat.
We're all assuming this is the Peyton we're going to have.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Broncos are assuming that.
Yes, yes.
I will say this. Broncos go to the Super Bowl with a healthy Peyton Manning.
Wow. Denver, Mile High. Get out of your seat. You heard it here first. Cecil Lammey, NFL Insider, ESPN Denver, senior writer, footballguys.com. Cecil, before we go, do you have anything you want to plug? Any stories that you just posted? Because I know you've been craziness the last few days.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone for following me on Twitter at Cecil Lammey, and also check out my latest ESPN blog at denversportstation.com.
All right, Cecil, thank you so much. We're going to check in with you next week and see how the free agency has unfolded for Denver and how everything's looking on that front. Cecil, you tell the guys at Sports Center we said hey.
Yeah, definitely.
Take care, guys.
All right, have a good one.